Good Monday evening to you, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on Unscripted. Well, we are starting off the work week with different weather patterns across northern Michigan. Some of us are seeing some nice sunshine and warmer temperatures. Others, it's a bit cooler, maybe cloudy, and even a little bit of rain. So, Joe, what can we expect for our Tuesday?
Yeah, if you're in Grayling, Gaylord, Lewiston, you know, it's been kind of a wet afternoon. Yeah. And then other spots have had some sunshine. But tomorrow we are expecting still some rain, Maya. Some areas will see more than others. Okay. Some of you might not see any at all. It's another one of those kind of days. But after that, we're looking at quite a bit of sunshine, and which should be a nice end to the week. So we'll look at that. And also, next week, a warm up too. So maybe a feel of summer in the air. That wouldn't be bad.
Not at all.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that coming up a little later.
All right, thank you, Joe. Our top story tonight takes us to Grand Traverse County, where multiple community organizations came together today to help clean up the Pines. That's an area in Traverse City where those experiencing homelessness camp. And our Allie Baxter was there and has the full story.
It's going to be ongoing. Usually these things take more than one day to clean up.
Volunteers got an early start Monday morning, lining up with rakes, shovels, trash bags, gloves, and wheelbarrows to tackle a seasonal cleanup at the Pines.
In the spring and the fall, we have a number of volunteers from the community that come out and help. City Streets comes out with their equipment so that we can move some of the larger abandoned camps and trash out of here.
About 30 volunteers split into two groups to focus on opposite sides of the Pines. The city's police social workers, North Boardman officer, and the Goodwill Outreach team were there to help and make contact with people they know still living in the Pines.
We moved to the ones that have been determined to be abandoned or trash that's just on the ground. We will make contact with active camps, and if they want to get rid of anything, we'll certainly help them out. But if it's active, we just kind of move on to the other abandoned sites.
Couches, grills, tarps, and a graveyard of bicycle wheels littered the forest floor.
There's needles, there's human waste. It's not a sanitary area at some points, and that's what we try to clean up and try to make sure that if people are in the Pines residing, that it is healthier for them.
Richmond says the group noticed a bunch of people packing up and moving out of the Pines during the cleanup. Monday afternoon, the city's Department of Public Works had removed 10 dump trucks of trash from the Pines.
There's people that are with organizations, and there's just people that are community members that want to help. And I think that's a good thing, and I think that's what makes Traverse City what Traverse City is there's a lot of support and a lot of people that want to help and make our community best.
And Allie is joining us live now from our content center for more on this story. And Allie, we know this isn't the first cleanup at the Pines. These events happen a couple times a year, but it could be the last, right?
Yeah, this could definitely be the last major cleanup that happens at the Pines, since tonight there's a pretty big vote going on to see if Safe Harbor can get a special land use permit to stay open all year round. And if that is the case, that means people do have a place to go to, and that means the city can now start enforcing a no camping ordinance in the area that is the Pines, which is actually considered a city park.
So in just a couple of days, we could see the Pines looking a little different. We'd see people out of the Pines completely.
Maybe. I know it will be a couple more days before we see the enforcement of this ordinance. And then today, just like Chief Richmond said in that story, they're not touching still, even today, they're not touching any sites or campsites that people are still actively living in. Again, they're approaching this like very humanely. They are not going in and just saying, you got to get out right now. We're taking all your stuff. It's going in these dump trucks. This is not how they want to do things. So if you drive past tonight, you definitely will still see a few campsites out there. And that's just to respect the people that are still living there. But there is a lot of abandoned campsites out there as well, from people who have moved on, who have found housing, or even a few weeks ago, there was a fire in a tent at the Pines, and that campsite was still there today as well.
And from previous reporting, we do know that these people living in the Pines, or camping at the Pines rather, they have been made aware that this potential for them to not be able to camp at the Pines anymore, They've been aware of this for quite some time now, so it's not like city officials just came and said, hey, you have 2 days to get out. They really thought a lot about how they want to approach this. You mentioned that some people are already gone. Were you able to talk with anyone who is still there and just find out how they're feeling about this potential move?
There were a couple people there, and they kind of wanted privacy while the cleanup was going on, and we respected that, and they didn't want cameras as well. So there was a couple people still there, and I know they insinuated there was another person that stays with them too. So we don't have really like an exact count on how many people still plan to stay there. But just like in the story, Chief Richmond had said, we actually saw a few people kind of using like this cleanup day to also come here and take care of their campsites as well as they move on to either a different living situation or go and use the resources at Safe Harbor.
Right, and if the amendment to the special land use permit for Safe Harbor to operate year-round is passed tonight, I know there's a couple of goals for that. Of course, people want to get those folks who are camping at the Pines to somewhere safer, but also, as we saw in your video today and we heard from Chief Richmond, it's not a very safe and sanitary place for people to be staying anyway. So not only do we want to get these people somewhere else, but also just somewhere safer, right?
Yeah, just somewhere where the environment is a lot more healthy as well. And they know, like, at this point, they can't force anyone to go, but the city's QRT team, the social workers, the North Borman officer have been out there every single day for months now, trying to check in with people. They want to know what their plans are, helping people get into housing if that is a major stressor for them. And pretty much they have said to us that anyone who is still in the Pines right now is there because they said that they want to be there and they don't want to leave.
So let's say that the amendment to the SLUP does get approved tonight and the city's no camping ordinance goes into effect in a couple of days. I know we've talked about this in the past, but for newer viewers, what will happen if people who are staying at the Pines refuse to leave after that?
Yeah, so a violation, we know a violation of a city ordinance is a misdemeanor, and that's kind of something that's been a discussion as well. If this special land use permit is approved, that means that they can start enforcement of a no camping ordinance in the area of the Pines. But right now, kind of the process they go through is we're going to give people a warning. Then if there is no compliance, we give them a ticket. And after that, if there is any kind of like disorderly conduct of, oh, you know, I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to be staying right here, depending on what happens, there could be an arrest of that individual. But that is something that Chief Richmond, the social workers, the QRT team, the North Borman officer, they are really, really trying to avoid. They are really trying to work with people, and they say they will help people as much as possible. And they definitely, the last thing they want to do is go in and forcibly evict people.
Right. And like I said, this has been a plan that's been in the works for quite some time now. So again, it's not like all these officials came together and said, all right, you guys have to go. You have 1 day. Please get out. It's been thought through very well, it sounds like.
Yeah, about a year is how discussions, how long discussions have taken place. The city has known that this is something they've wanted to do. And at the end of last summer is when they started going in and telling people camping and living in the Pines, we are giving you a major heads up that we are going to have to start enforcing a no camping ordinance out here. So they have given a lot of heads up for people that are still there, and they've really worked hard to go through and make sure that they know who is there, what their plan is, and if they need help with housing as well.
But if tonight that amendment doesn't pass, could things be a little different?
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to enforce that no camping ordinance. So I don't want to say like a lot is like hanging in the balance here, but it will kind of stop that enforcement right now, just because if Safe Harbor isn't able to be year-round, it means they don't have an emergency shelter that they can go to. And that's something that the city has to check a box on.
Right. Anything else you want to mention about the Pines cleanup today or the next steps moving forward that we haven't discussed yet, Allie?
Yeah, I would say, you know, just like a major shout out to all the volunteers that were out there this morning. There's honestly like too many organizations to even name, but there was the Goodwill Outreach team, which did an amazing job just of being able to connect and facilitate the cleanup crews with the people that are still there. So there was a respectful distance and an understanding of, hey, I will leave your campsite alone and I will go over here and take care of this area. So it was a big community collaboration there today.
Absolutely, and it sounds like all parties involved in this effort are, like you said, just trying to be as respectful as they can.
Yeah, definitely as humane as possible is a word I've heard a lot.
All right, Allie, thank you so much for joining us. And again, that meeting tonight in Traverse City starts at 7 o'clock. There is going to be a public hearing. So if you are watching right now and you have an opinion on whether Safe Harbor in Traverse City should be open year-round, you can head to the governmental center. But if you can't make it there, we have a reporter there. Cody Bear is there right now, and he will have a full recap tonight on Up North Live News at 11 on what commissioners decide. All right, let's switch gears now. We are talking about some warmer weather across northern Michigan, and that means morel mushrooms are popping up already. And it may seem a little early, but because of warmer temperatures and a bit of rain, they are starting to make their appearances. And our Trevor Robideau talked with a mushroom expert and has some tips on what you need to know if you want to go out hunting.
Aaron and Jill with Great Lakes Treats have spent much of their lives in the great outdoors, foraging for mushrooms and other wild treats. In that time, they've learned a lot about a very popular but elusive species, the morel mushroom. Known as a delicacy in many dishes, a species of mushroom that seems to pop up almost at random this time of year with wet conditions.
The ground temperature needs to be a minimum of like 42 degrees in order for the morels to start actually fruiting. So the last couple of weeks have been really good, and I'm hoping that this next week is going to be an excellent time to get out there and start looking for them as well. Mother Nature's cooperating right now. We've had a good bit of rain. These colder nights actually aren't so bad because we're not below freezing.
But even with good conditions, morel mushrooms can be difficult to find. But the veteran hunters will tell you that's what makes it fun.
It's definitely like an Easter egg hunt. It's a little bit of gold fever.
Grenchek also reminds us to keep an eye out for other mushrooms like the false morel and others that look similar.
So when we're talking about the true morel, the Morchella species, we're talking about one that's hollow, and also there's a fusing of like how the cap is attached to the stem. And so that's kind of a unique feature that is indicative of the morel mushroom.
Be careful when identifying other mushrooms, as some can look similar but are actually poisonous.
You have to be really careful with these mushrooms because there's a variety of different gyrometra that we have in our woods, and some of them actually are extremely toxic. And so back to that 100% certainty deal, you want to know and recognize without any doubt what you have before you're looking to consume the mushroom.
Regardless or not if you find one, the real reward is being outside with nature.
You're looking for these mushrooms, you don't find any, but then suddenly you realize you just got the best fresh air in the last week, and you know, getting out in nature is a home run either way. So really, when you do find mushrooms, it's even better.
In Grand Traverse County, Trevor Robideau, Up North Live News.
I think that is a great mindset because there have been plenty of times where I've gone morel mushroom hunting, haven't found any, and went home very disappointed, but it's just nice to be out in nature, like you heard him say there. And Great Lakes Treats will be at the Sarah Hardy Farmers Market in Traverse City every weekend on Saturdays. They will have fresh mushrooms, and they do suggest you get there a little early. Now, over on our website, UpNorthLive.com, we have a treasure map from the DNR on the best places to find some morels. Again, that's over on our website, UpNorthLive.com. Well, today, of course, May 5th, also known as Cinco de Mayo. And first thing first, Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. I know there's some confusion out there, but that falls on September 16th. Cinco de Mayo commemorates the Mexican Army's victory over French forces at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862. The Mexican Army won despite being quite a bit smaller and ill-equipped. So in Mexico, Cinco de Mayo is observed with political speeches and battle reenactments. Here in the United States, the day has evolved into one that celebrates Hispanic heritage. Many U.S. cities hold different events that include some festivities like some dancing and music and, of course, Mexican food. And we can't forget about margaritas. So let's take a look at our question of the day today. Of course, related to Cinco de Mayo, how do you prefer your margarita? Scan the QR code on your screen right now. It's pretty split between a frozen and on the rocks. 57% are saying frozen, 43% on the rocks. We will continue to keep an eye on those results and share the final results with you at the end of the show. Let's take a quick commercial break now, but we will check back in with Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix, and he'll have much more on the forecast for the rest of the work week. Straight ahead.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We are kicking off the work week with some different weather across northern Michigan. We mentioned this earlier. Some folks are seeing sunshine, other folks some rain. And Joe, you mentioned a little more rain tomorrow, but then the rest of the week looks pretty nice and sunny.
Yeah, I think so. So we have this area of low pressure. It's way south of us, but it's close enough that we're getting some showers. We're going to deal with that tomorrow. And then after that, we have a weak cold front coming in Wednesday, and then a nice stretch of weather coming up. So I imagine if you look, let's go show you the drone video here. I bet that coming up in a week or two, it's going to look a lot different. Just so many more trees will have their leaves budding. And you can see how green it is already, though, a little bit, at least with the grass. And then you can see some of the trees starting here a little bit, if you look closely. This was Elmwood Township, that's just north of Traverse City in Leelanau County. That was the view there, Grand Traverse Bay, earlier today, looking toward Traverse City there. All right, let's take a look at radar. We've had a little bit of rain in some spots. It's kind of a unique day because there are spots where the sun's been out all day, and then you see that rain right there, which in the last couple of hours has really fallen apart. If you're watching there around Johannesburg, Gaylord, it looks like one more shower about to pass through Gaylord here shortly. That rain has approached Traverse City with clouds. Outside of a sprinkler or two, it looks like you're not going to get much as this continues to fall apart as it much drier air mass. There's our area of low pressure swirling away to the south of us, and this will kind of move toward the northeast, the New England states, but as it does so tomorrow, it will spiral in more clouds and the chance for a few showers. This is what that will look like. A pretty quiet night tonight, but by morning, there's some of that rain reaching Cadillac, Alpena, Rogers City. That's around 7 o'clock. Kind of a cloudy day. And then you see that rain. It just doesn't quite make it all the way to Lake Michigan tomorrow. So it's kind of an interesting look to that. If you're at Drummond Island, you probably will get some rain. If you're in Newberry, the sun should be out most of the day. And then all of this ends tomorrow evening. And then Wednesday, here's our weak cold front. See the little rain in the UP? That's a front. That's a separate system. And then after that, we get into sunshine. There's Thursday right around noon. Nice day coming up with sunshine, pleasant weather. And here's a little better way to look at where that rain's going to fall. We'll just add it up here. And there's a sharp line to who gets the rain and who doesn't tomorrow. Kind of right along that Drummond Island, Sheboygan line over toward Bel Air. East and south of there, more likely to get rain. North and west of there, very little. So tomorrow, kind of a cloudy day. And then, yeah, look at the sunshine expected for Wednesday or later Wednesday, but Thursday, Friday, right through the weekend. And we have a warm-up on the way, too. Now, don't take these numbers. That's exactly what it's going to be, but this is more of a trend. 50s and 60s this week, but look at next week. Ridge builds in here, and that's going to allow some warmer weather to work in with 70s and 80s. And you kind of see it on the tail end of the forecast there on Monday. We're going 70 and 77. Week from now. But before then, the days before then, it's not a bad forecast. It's just going to be pretty dry. I know we have a little rain tomorrow, but after that, a dry stretch and kind of some spring-like weather.
When's our next chance for rain besides tomorrow then?
Yeah, after that, maybe a sprinkle on Wednesday with that cold front coming in, but after that, it's going to be a while, it looks like.
All right, Joe, thank you so much. Let's take another quick break, but we will check in with Sports Director Harrison Beebe in just a couple of minutes. Stay with us. It is time for your sports update with sports director Harrison Beebe, who joins us live now from the Content Center. Hey, Harrison.
Hey, Maya.
What's going on in the sports world today?
I was about to ask you the same question, hoping you could bridge the gap for me. No, pretty cool story to talk about today. I busted out the football tie in the off-season for a good reason. We're talking about a cool fundraising event going on through Traverse City West. Obviously, every team every year has to cover some expenses for upgraded equipment. And with Traverse City West being the biggest school in our viewing area as far as enrollment's concerned, they usually have the biggest numbers out for football, and their numbers keep growing. They are well over 100 kids going to be out for the freshman, JV, and varsity teams this year. And as a result, they're going to need to get more helmets. They kind of estimated for me, helmets go for around $450 a pop. So when you add all those up for excess helmets that are in need, they can roll some over from the previous years, but in a lot of cases with the numbers growing, they need new ones, and that's where a new company called Focus Financial in the Traverse City area is helping partner with them to match $10,000 in donations to help them reach their goal of $20,000 by the end of the spring here.
We had 100 helmets going into this off season, and I knew with this 9th grade class that's incoming, that's around another 55 to 60 kids, we were going to be around 30 helmets short. And so we just kind of set out on a quest to be able to raise some money through the community to be able to purchase these helmets, which each of them run. A lot of people don't know. I mean, a lot of people don't know that helmets run for about $450 a piece. So that adds up pretty quick. When you need to buy 30 to 40 helmets, I mean, you're talking easily $15,000 to $20,000. And Focal Financial, lucky for us, we were able to have a connection there and being able to kind of create a partnership with them to be able to make this happen. So they're going to match any or up to $10,000 of what we raise.
So a pretty cool story indeed. Obviously, fundraisers, like we said, happen at all levels for all sports, but to get $10,000, that's a pretty big contribution, I'd say, for a football team.
Yeah, I had no idea that helmets cost that much. So if people do want to donate, how can they do that?
Probably best to just reach out to the Traverse City West Athletic Department. It's through their normal fundraising that they do, but it would help them match their goal from the parent company as well.
All right, Harrison, thank you so much for that. And we're going to take a final commercial break, but we will check back in with the live results for our question of the day straight ahead.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Well, today, of course, is Cinco de Mayo, and some of us who are above the age of 21 may be celebrating with a nice cold margarita today. So we were curious how you prefer your margarita, frozen or on the rocks. And as you can tell, majority, 55%, prefer it frozen, 45% on the rocks. We were going to ask what your favorite margarita flavor is, but there are just too many for that, so we went with this question instead. You can still vote on our website, UpNorthLive.com. But that'll do it for Unscripted. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you back here at 11.